Toxic habits that will stop you from getting rich. Being rich means many things to many people. Regardless of your definition, there are some simple steps anyone can take to become rich. You might already know there is no one formula to becoming rich. You may be even thinking right now of the lives of famous actors, businessmen, entrepreneurs, and how they made their money. The ones who became rich all decided to stop toxic habits that were preventing them from growing their wealth. Fortunately, I can let you know exactly what you need to stop doing right now. Once you decide to stop the habits listed, you'll be that much closer to living like the rich. But before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe to get more life-changing videos like this. 6. Eating out. If there is one thing the rich rely on, it's a financial planner to help manage their money. One of the expenses most often flagged by financial planners is food costs like takeout and dining out. Even if you're not rich now, you will have to stop the habit of dining out often and dining out at all. There is something special about going out to a nice restaurant, getting to dress up, and then choosing from a great selection of mouth-watering meals to feast on. As exciting as this may be, if you are serious about getting rich, then you need to stop this toxic habit right away. Surprised to hear that eating out is a toxic habit? Though having a balanced diet gives you the nutrition you need to focus more on other tasks, you can also get this at home by using the ingredients you have at home. You will not only be able to make a meal that you enjoy, but one that lasts for days depending on the number of ingredients you use. This may not be easy, especially if you're used to eating out or ordering food regularly. A big part of the appeal of eating out involves convenience. Anyone would prefer to wait 10 minutes and spend the extra dollars to buy a freshly made burger than spending an hour at home preparing a meal that in the end does not even taste as good as you hope. Still, once you've gotten better at your organization skills and your preferred taste, cooking at home and enjoying a meal with family and friends would be more rewarding. It's advised that you spend no more than 15% of your income on food, and this includes the amount you would cater for dining out. If you know your usual expenditure exceeds this limit, then you should try to adjust accordingly by first skipping out on restaurant dates or dining out to easily decrease how much you spend on food. It is important to find the right balance that will give you the best chance of becoming richer later on. 5. Using a credit card. The invention of the credit card has completely changed how we usually deal with money. Having a credit card is extremely convenient and easy to use as any modern business place accepts this as a form of payment. For this reason, it's more challenging to monitor your spending habits. Spending all the money you make is bad, but spending so much that you are constantly in debt is worse. Trying to maintain a certain standard of living by relying heavily on your credit means that you are living beyond your means. You are therefore putting pressure on your future self and potential earnings to finance how you are living at the moment. This does not take into account what might happen if you cannot continue to provide funds to pay outstanding debts. What's more, a credit card naturally has an interest rate that can eventually become a serious problem if not handled with care. Even with the best packages, these rates can be high, so that even after minimum payments, the financial institutions stand to benefit as you owe much more than if you had just used your own cash from the beginning. Outstanding debts will also negatively affect your credit score, which lowers your eligibility for loans and other services, depending on where you live. If you are really serious about getting rich, then, at least for now, lose the credit card to give yourself a better chance. 4. Overspending. Some might say that the crisis of our time is wanting things we cannot afford. Though with the advent of the credit card, many people feel they understand how to spend money, so very often they are living beyond their means. Even without a credit card, spending more than you can earn or more than you can afford is not only a way to ensure you are constantly stressed out, but it is also a way to ensure you are constantly in debt and you are in a never-ending cycle that ensures you will never be able to accrue any significant amount of money that could eventually make you wealthy. Even if you are not in debt, will negatively have long-term influences on your financial future. Sooner or later, you might only have yourself to blame for the bad practices of overspending, which is ultimately a toxic habit preventing you from moving financially from one level to the next. You should at first try to understand why you might be overspending. And with this understanding, this toxic habit becomes that much easier to break once and for all. One of the main reasons people overspend is due to a lack of awareness. They do not fully realize just how much money is leaving their pockets every month when they decide to splurge on coffee, a cool gadget, or whatever their heart desires. They tend to work with averages and estimates instead of taking into account the actual cost of living expenses on a weekly or monthly basis. As such, they overestimate just how much cash they have available to them and run into the bad habit of overspending time and time again. Another reason for overspending would be a lack of self-discipline. It takes a certain level of discipline to put your desires aside and stop yourself from spending on something in the moment. The rich have developed discipline and awareness of how much they spend to prevent overspending, and you will have to also if you want to be rich. Do you think overspending is bad? Leave a comment below to let us know. 3. Lacking patience. It is often said that patience is a virtue. A little-known secret about the rich is that they are some of the most patient people. The truth is, one of the biggest determining factors when it comes to being rich involves age. Thus, you must consider you might very likely become rich only after having employed certain strategies and behaviors over a long period. And then you will see a big difference. When it comes to financial literacy, there is still much that you need to learn to master your money. Regardless, the consistent use of these tips will contribute to your wealth, ensure you never go back to debt, and instead build your money to the extent that you will be considered rich in the future. Try not to lose sight of this important factor. For your wealth to properly develop, apart from doing what you need to do, you also need to give your strategies the time they need to be effective. You need to give time for your money to grow, time for your investments to accrue a profit, and time for yourself to understand that nothing happens overnight. Once you never lose sight of your goal, it will be easier to be a little more patient on a day-to-day basis. Patience can also be put into practice right now. A good idea when it comes to spending on a whim involves the 24-hour rule. If you see a product you think is essential, give yourself 24 hours before you make the final decision about whether or not to buy the product. This 24-hour period will give you a break to think things over and evaluate whether you need the product or you simply think you need the product. It will become more and more important to differentiate your wants from your needs. It will also become important to be able to tell the difference between what is important and what is urgent. Although initially, this may be challenging, with practice, you will be able to categorize things as needed, and it will be easier for you to make financial decisions by becoming more patient. 2. No emergency fund. One of the most toxic habits you can have is not having an emergency fund. This is a reserve of funds that acts as a financial buffer set aside for unplanned expenses or emergencies. Also known as a contingency fund, this helps you to navigate financial hardships and avoid going into debt. If you have not been doing this, then you are working against yourself in getting rich. Saving up to 3 months' worth of living expenses should be your main focus, as this can prepare you for almost anything that may come your way. The truth is, life happens to everyone, and there will be unexpected moments in your life when you need to draw on funds for an emergency. This will not only help to reduce your stress level in your time of need, but will help you get back on your feet quickly enough so that you can keep working towards becoming rich. If you have drawn on your emergency fund, another bad habit is not replenishing it. Once you have used some or all of your fund, and be sure only to touch it in case of real emergencies, then be sure to return the money so that you can save it for another rainy day. This will also give a greater level of financial independence, which is a cornerstone of the truly rich. 1. Procrastinating. Procrastination is one bad habit many find difficult to break. Putting things off or saying that you will deal with them later might be the preferred solution. Often, it is the easiest thing to do. However, this is a toxic solution that might be one of the most toxic habits making your financial situation worse. If you are a habitual procrastinator, there are many ways in which this can be toxic for the financial aspect of your life. If you tend to put off dealing with financial matters such as paying off credit or making payments by the due date, you might incur late fees that carry you further into debt and further away from your goal of becoming rich. Another result of procrastination is that when you finally address something that you have been putting off, dealing with it at a later date, such as a health issue, might cause you to pay more in the long run. There are some issues, if not seen early enough. For instance, a cavity in your tooth will incur a huge toll in terms of expenses, as it is possibly more work that may need to be done by a professional due to a problem that has gotten out of hand. Additionally, you are directly influencing your potential future earnings. The reason for this is habitual procrastinators eventually let this bad habit affect every aspect of their life. As such, it becomes much more difficult to remain a productive and effective worker, as your work might be rushed when leaving it for the last minute, and you cannot give all your attention into the task as you started too late to give it the attention it needs. This means later on, when promotions are being considered, you might be passed over for someone else who has already proven their worth. Additionally, the longer you take to start saving or investing, the less time your money has to grow. The simple factor of compounding interest, which has been able to turn working-class people into millionaires, will not benefit you if you continue to procrastinate with your finances. You may also put off implementing any of these steps, such as cutting back on expenses. The longer you take to make a change, the less you will have to save and make a difference in your life. Stop this toxic habit once and for all, and you will unlock the path to becoming richer. As with all toxic habits, the first step is to realize and understand what you've been doing wrong. Once you can pinpoint these behaviors, you can then adjust your behaviors little by little to completely transform your life. The rich have been practicing these crucial steps through generations and will continue to pass on this advice to their children to ensure they have just as much financial freedom. You can now use these same steps to make a difference in your life. The key to becoming rich is to first get rid of these toxic habits. If you learned something new in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Check out our other videos here, and I'll see you in the next one.